Then, 2 months after the murders, the youngest son, Billy, reaches out to investigators.
In August of 1980, Bill wanted to talk to us and see if he could help us cooperate with this investigation. He requested that we bring the pictures of the crime scene.
We thought that that was very unusual, very interesting.
And the officer said, these are very graphic, violent photographs. You're not going to want to look at these, Billy. And Billy said, no, I'll take a look at the photographs. We'll see if I can help you in this investigation.
As Billy examines the pictures, investigators examine him.
Whenever Billy came to a photograph of his mother or father, he would stop and he would fixate on the photograph. He would stare at it. He wouldn't laugh, he wouldn't cry, he wouldn't sob. He simply fixated and stared at the photograph.
And then he would say, see that chair here next to my mom's bed? Oh, her purse is missing from that chair. If you look on this dresser here, my mother's jewelry box is missing from there. It was pretty obvious to us that he wanted to divert the attention from the family and have us try to focus on an intruder, which we didn't buy.
Another 2 months go by without any new leads in the case. Then, a hidden secret surfaces.
A surveyor was walking down the Des Plaines River on Milwaukee Avenue and Route 60. He reached and pulled up what he thought was a pipe. Well, it turns out that it was a 16-gauge shotgun.
He got about 15 feet further south, and he tripped over another bag. He saw that there was a purse in it. He pulled out of the purse a wallet, and he opened the wallet, took his thumb, and he wiped the plastic clean so that he could see what was on the other side of the plastic window. And he saw a driver's license. It was the driver's license of Darlene Rouse.
Detectives rush to the river's edge with a dive team.
We were probably able to recover about 11 guns, the mother's purse with her driver's license and credit card and identification in it, the jewelry box, various jewelry that was contained in that box. We amassed a lot of physical evidence out of that river that we were able to match as having been from the Rouse home.
It's a major break in the case.
If we had a burglar in that home, they most certainly wouldn't have thrown the jewelry in the river. It ended up at a pawn shop somewhere, and the same with the purse. You know, the driver's license were there, credit cards were there, none of which had been used.
Suddenly, Billy's story makes no sense at all.
Billy was leading the police to believe that this murder could have occurred during a residential burglary gone bad. But the Des Plaines River finding totally shot that theory out of the water.
It was pretty clear that little Billy was covering for someone, but who? While the people of Libertyville may have been sleeping a bit easier, there was still a killer on the loose, and police were starting to suspect he lived just a few feet away.
With the discovery of the Rouse's missing valuables at the bottom of the river, police grow increasingly suspicious that the murders were an inside job.
A lot of the focus was on Kurt Rouse. Kurt was a hippie. You know, Kurt had long hair, he had a beard, he lived out in the old servants' quarters on the property. He was into music a lot. People automatically assumed that Kurt had been the one who killed his parents.
Then, detectives get a call from a college in Iowa where Kurt's ex-girlfriend is a student. Police there discovered that Kurt had filled out a gun permit and was later seen stalking the ex. He disappeared before campus police could catch him. When detectives head to Iowa to question the ex, she says Kurt never talked about the murders.
With his shaggy hair and faraway eyes, Kurt had a certain air of Manson family about him, but investigators didn't have any hard evidence that the suspected stalker was the murderer. Their only hope was to get one of his siblings to talk.
We thought if there was any way to get to any of these kids, it would have been through Robin.
Robin had made some indications that she felt that possibly her brother was involved in the murder of her parents. But that was all the information that was given. No reason why she felt this, and no specific information as to why she felt it was her brother.
We felt at the very least maybe Robin might have had some knowledge of this. Either she came home and caught him in the act, or she caught him bringing the guns or maybe the jewelry box out to the father's vehicle.
The state's attorney's office were working to attempt to possibly grant Robin Rouse immunity to come forward and testify at a grand jury.
But days before Robin is scheduled to meet with police, the case takes a haunting and tragic turn.
Robin was driving her vehicle on a rain-slicked highway in Racine, Wisconsin. She lost control of that vehicle and she slid into a light standard. She suffered massive head injuries and Robin was gone.
Rumors start up that she was on her way to tell the authorities about what had happened. Everybody thinking that Kurt was the bad guy, that Kurt had done something to Robin's car and caused her to die.
That was a major setback to us because up until that point in time, we had dried up with leads. Any information that had come back, whether it be phone records or crime lab reports, just didn't generate any more lead information that we could follow up on.
Now, detectives have no choice but to shelve the case.
Suspicion doesn't make arrests, evidence does. And in this case, the evidence simply was not there.
But the case continues to haunt investigators.
I carried this case all my life. It was like a thorn kind of jabbing you all the time, you know, something you just didn't let go.
You don't give up. You don't stop. You don't ever stop. You wait. And sometimes that waiting game takes a little bit longer.
For years, detectives keep tabs on both sons. Billy heads south to Key West, Florida, while Kurt heads to California under a cloud of suspicion.
Kurt was still living in his little world of acid rock and roll and drug usage.
At first, Billy seemed to be putting his troubled past behind him.
He had inherited a lot of money from his parents, got married, had learned a trade. He was a carpenter.
He paid $100,000 cash for a home on Petronia Street in Key West, and then added another $90,000 to that to remodel the home.
But slowly, Billy's life began to unravel.
He ended up getting divorced. He ended up going through all the money. He was living on an old barge anchored off of Key West with a hut made out of doors and discarded pieces of construction material.
A far cry from the Rouse mansion, the floating shack became home sweet home to Billy and assorted other down-and-outers.
The shack that they were living, it was like a makeshift little hut. I'd say this whole unit was maybe 8 feet by 10 feet. When they went to the bathroom, they went off the side of this makeshift house.
Didn't have any money, was basically shoplifting to stay alive. He would do any kind of drugs or alcohol that he could get his hands on.